Hi, welcome to Val's Vlogs. I'm Val, and this is my grandson Zane, and he's 10 years old. No, 8 years old.
7.
7 years old, and he's with me today because he has a project for school, and his project is he's in the 9th grade.
No, 2nd.
2nd grade? He's in the 2nd grade, and his project for school is to learn about history.
No, interview.
Interview somebody to learn about history, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to go and visit our friend Dave Robinson, who's a little bit older than Zane, and he'll be able to tell Zane a little bit about how things were back when he was a child. And so we can all learn a little bit about history together. Won't that be fun? So come with us. Let's all go together and see what Dave has to say.
What is your favorite toy?
My favorite toy? Today or back when I was your age?
Back when
I was your age when I was a kid? Boy, that's a hard one, because most of my toys were things that I played with outside, because I like to play outside and I love to run in the woods and play. So my favorite toys were probably little toy cars that we had. We had an old place where it was an old rock quarry, and there was a lot of places on the side of the hills that had little holes going back in, and we pretend they were tunnels, and we'd drive our cars back and forth in that. So that was one of the main things we played with when I was younger.
You didn't have computers, Dave?
Didn't have any computers, didn't have any cell phones, didn't have any TV, so there wasn't anything to look at. You could listen to the radio on the radio at night. So, you know, you played games. We played a lot of games with the family, with my mom and dad and my sister. Played a lot of board games. My friends, when they'd come to my house, we'd play board games. We liked it when it snowed and we didn't have to go to school. And then we could stay home and play board games and drink hot chocolate all day. So that was fun.
Yeah.
Always liked that. Okay, had a real good time when I was little. Okay. Did that help you? As I got older, my toys changed. See, I went from that to I played softball. That was about it, softball, because the same quarry had a big open field, so we played softball. That was fun.
What kind of schooling did you have?
What kind of what?
Schooling did you
Schooling? I went to elementary school and junior high and high school and college. And then I got a lot of schooling when I was in the Navy. I will say if you went when I went to college, I majored in zoology and biology, and then I became a National Park Ranger. And I worked out in Rocky Mountain National Park as a park ranger. So that was spatial training that I got that I could use later in my life. It was nice to be able to do that.
What kind of jobs did your parents have?
What type of jobs did my parents have?
No, what kind?
What kind of jobs? Are you talking about my mom and daddy? My mama was a school teacher, and my daddy worked for the radio station back then. He was what they call controller and an announcer at the local radio station. And that's the guy that sits beside a whole bunch of dials and things and controls the things that are coming in and going out over the air for the radio station. My grandmother, or my mother, when she was teaching, she taught at a country school. She was younger, and they had to row across to get to her school. Her school was across the Taggart River, and she had to meet a guy every Monday morning, early in the morning before daybreak, and he would row her across the river to where her school was, and then she stayed with somebody over there for the week. And then when she came back at the end of the week, he would row her back across the river again so she could go home. So she had a little one-room schoolhouse. I have a picture of her, and she had, I think, 18 kids in her school, all from, taught everything. She taught everything from elementary school up through high school.
Can you imagine a school just with one room? Just go to school and it's just a little
That was it.
house with one room, and everybody goes to the same school. You're in the same grade with Gavin and everybody.
I know.
That'd be different?
And the guy that rode my mother back and forth, one time they had a very bad fall, and there was always a guy on the other side that held a light up in the early morning, a lantern, so he could see where he wanted to go across the river. It was a pretty wide river, and he couldn't see, and the current was high and it caught him, and there was a falls down the river called Valley Falls, and if you went over Valley Falls you didn't live. It was a pretty bad falls, and he could hear the falls coming and he wasn't getting to the side, and he finally said to her, said, "Mrs. Robinson, do you know how to pray?" And she said, "Yes, I do." And he said, "Start and be real good at it." And they made it to the other side.
What do you use? What did you use machines we no longer use today?
What do I what now? What did I used to use that I no longer use today?
Like kind of some machinery or anything?
I reckon the thing that I used to use and sure don't use today is an old push type lawnmower. And all through we never had a power mower that you turned on and pushed. It was a mower that had revolving blades inside it, and you pushed it to cut the lawn. And that was always a job. We had a big lawn, and my job was to cut the lawn. So I reckon that definitely is one thing that I don't use, and I'm glad I don't use any longer, because it was a job to do that. And the other thing I don't use any longer is a scythe. And I don't know whether you ever seen that, but it's got a great big blade that goes like this, and it curves in the back of it, and you hold it with both hands and you swing it like this, and that's to cut tall brush and stuff, and I used to use that at home too. And I'm glad I don't use that anymore. I just use a weed whacker now. It's not a big difference.
Mm-hmm. I remember those push mowers.
Oh yeah. I saw in Pennsylvania near Lancaster about 2 years ago when I was going through there. I saw in the Amish country where they don't use power equipment. This guy was a young kid, was riding a pony, cutting his lawn, and behind the pony was a bank of 4 old-time lawnmowers that the handles had been cut off of, and they had all been attached together till they were about that wide. And he was cutting the lawn with that by pulling them behind his pony.
Huh.
I thought that was really neat.
Inventive.
Use of an old,
Yeah.
an old technology.
Very inventive.
How did you communicate with others?
Just like you and I are communicating right now, by sitting down with somebody and talking to them. You had no cell phones, you didn't have any TV, didn't have any, what do they call it, Skype, or what is
Skype.
Skype,
Yeah.
you didn't have any Skype, but you could see people on the TV screen. So you could call telephone, you picked up the telephone and you dialed the number. The number would be 234-5768, and then the operator generally would come on. In fact, when we started, that's all you did, pick up the phone, dial up. The operator would come on, she'd say, "Number please," and you say 237-3724. "Thank you, sir, ringing," and then you'd hear the phone going ring, 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 and then whoever's on the other end would say, "Hello." So the operator had a big place that she set, a great big thing in front of her, and it had all these plugs in it. And you would take the wire from my house and you'd plug it in to where it would go to 147-3275. Okay, and then when you quit talking, there was a light that went out up there, and she would unplug it and be ready for the next calls. So.
Do you remember party lines?
Oh, we had a party line in Newfoundland when I was there. And that means a lot of people were on the same line. And the numbers there were, what am I going to say, short numbers and long numbers. Like you could be a short number person and your number was 333, okay? And all you had to do was pick it up and the operator would say yes, and you'd say, please connect me with 33724, and she'd say, okay. Or you could be like us. Our ring for our house was 6F6, which means we had 6 short rings and 6 long rings. So before you answered the phone, you had to listen for 12 rings, 3 ba 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 ba, and then 12 ba ba ba, and then you'd pick up the phone and say hello. And there were all sorts of people on the line. And when you were waiting for it to be picked up, you'd hear all these other lines come on. And sometimes you'd hear a phone click, click. Nobody says anything in the background. You hear a baby crying or somebody hollering at somebody. That's people listening into your telephone on the same line. So it was kind of neat. I was trying to call a friend of mine, Patrick Murphy, one time when I was up there, and the phone was ringing and ringing, and I wasn't getting an answer. And the lady who was on the phone, who knew who I was, said, Mr. Robinson, are you trying to get a hold of Patty Murphy? And I said, yes, I am. She says, well, he's down at Father Monahan's. She says, his number is, and she gave me the number, and I called the father, and yeah, Patty was there. So I got to talk to him anyway. So people listen on the line all the time. A lot of people, that's all they had to do.
Mm-hmm.
The people that couldn't get out, and,
I remember
sitting
that.
in their house, pick up the line, hear what's going on elsewhere.
When I was a child, we had a party line. Our neighbor was on the same line. You'd pick it up and you could hear them talking.
Oh, yeah. So it's a lot better today. Pick up a cell phone, dial a number, and say, hello, bye, how you doing? You're in your car. I mean, the only place you could make a call was at home. That was it. Or a pay phone. They had big pay phones. You could put in money. At that time, it cost a nickel to make a phone call. It's a lot more than that if they have pay phones anywhere.
I don't know that they even have them anymore.
Last time it was 25 cents for a normal call.
Right.
I ever used it.
What transportation did you use?
What transportation did I use? Most of the transportation I used was my feet. I walked to work. I worked as a newspaper boy downtown. It was about 2 miles downtown. I'd walk in town and stand on the corner and yell, paper, paper, sell a paper for a nickel back then. It was cheap paper. So I walked to work. I walked to school. Now, when I got older, when I was in, I reckon, a junior in high school, I bought an old car for $100, and I drove it all the way through high school and through college. And because I played in a dance band, and I had to have a car to get me to where we were playing the dances. So my dad let me buy a car for $100. A real good car. It was a 1936 Plymouth black sedan. Looked like an old gangster car. Boom, 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 when you farted up. It's a good car. But that was the main means of transportation. Now, the other thing downtown, well, you had buses like you have buses today. Downtown, they had a streetcar. And that was kind of neat. I used to save money up just to ride the streetcar from one end of the town to the other. And that's a car that rides on rails like a train does today. It's got metal rails that goes through the town, and there are electrical wires up in the air, and it's got an arm that comes out of it, and the arm goes up and fits on this cable, and as the car moves, it rubs along on this cable. And that way it has electricity to turn the motors that move its wheels. So we had a streetcar for a long time. Then they decided it was too old, and they tore it up and repaved the tracks. It was a good old time, though, riding a streetcar, because it'd go, I don't know, 11, 12 miles out of town. Give you a good ride.
All right, got another question?
No.
That's the end of it. Well, that was pretty good, I think. Thank you.
Can you tell us anything else about back when you were a little boy? Things you did that maybe the children these days don't do or are missing out on?
I don't know about missing out on. At that time, when I was your age, World War II was going on, and we didn't have TV, but we had radio, and everybody listened to the radio. And in the evenings, We used to turn on the radio. Dad would come home, we'd have dinner, we'd turn on the radio and we'd hear, "This is Edward R. Murrow with the news," in the background you'd hear these explosions. I'm in London, and as you can hear, the Germans are bombing again tonight. So you listen to that all the time, which, isn't much fun. And then there was old shows on TV. Like there used to be, Gene Autry was on TV, he was a cowboy. Roy Rogers was on TV. There's a bunch of old-time cowboys that I don't even remember all their names now.
How old were you when you got your first TV?
I got my first TV when I was in freshman in high school. Yeah.
In black and white?
Oh yeah, black and white.
Three channels?
Yeah, no, one channel. All we could get was Pittsburgh. It had a little TV screen about that big. It was black and white. It was only on from about 7 in the morning till sometime in the evening, and then it went off the air. It had the news. It had a couple of things for kids. If there was a baseball game, they did at that time televise the Pittsburgh Pirates baseball game. And that's the main reason my dad got it, so he could watch the baseball games. But he sold TVs at that time too. And he and I would we'd sell a TV, and then he and I would put up the antennas for it. And our place that we lived was called the Tank Hill, because there was a big water tank above it. And it was a real high hill. It was the highest hill in the city. And we went up on that hill and went up a big tree, and we erected a TV antenna. And then we brought the line down to what you call a splitter, which is a box that you could split off other lines to it. And every time Dad sold a TV, we'd run a line from there to that person's house so they could watch TV. You didn't get it just through the air the way you do now. Or, we get it through a cable channel. But at that time, you had to have an antenna to get it. Your own antenna. And I was the first serviceman, probably the first serviceman in Fairmont at the time, because we were the ones selling TVs. Somebody's line would break, and I'd get a call, "Davey, I can't see my TV," and I'd run the lines backwards and found out where the line had broken, and I'd fix it back together again so they get their TV back. But that was fun. Mm-hmm. Something different from back then and now. You eat the same stuff you eat today. Eat hasn't changed much, except you didn't have all the frozen stuff. Very, very few frozen things.
TV dinners and
Yeah, that was
good old home cooking back then.
Most of what we ate was pastas.
Your family raise any animals? Have gardens?
We had a garden, yeah. Most of the time we had a big, big garden. I worked in the garden. My job when I was your age was carrying water for the garden. You'd go to the spring and you'd fill a mason jar with water. You'd come back and put a mason jar full of water on each tomato plant. We'd go and during the time of the garden in the spring, we'd be out, right after it got light in the morning. And mainly Mama and I, because Daddy was working all the time.
Yeah.
Watering the plants. Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Any other questions? No.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I don't know.
You don't know. Okay.
A reporter?
No.
No?
Why don't you fly? Fly in the Navy. That's what I did. You can fly in the Navy and you can go see the world. Go all around the world and fly airplane. That's fun.
No.
No, don't want to do that. Well, I'll wait a year later until you could get in an airplane. You ever been in an airplane?
Mm-hmm.
Have you? Okay.
We flew to Disney World.
Disney World. Oh, I love Disney World. That's one of my favorite places is Disney World. It's great.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank Mr. Dave for his time. Thank you, Mr. Dave.
Thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Have a great day.
I will.
Okay, wasn't that a fun video? Thank you everybody for watching. I have a question. If you could interview anybody from history, who would it be? Can you think of somebody that would be fun to interview? Anybody from history? No? Abraham Lincoln? George Washington? No? Okay. Well, he'll think about it and we'll get back to you. If you have somebody you'd like to interview from history, make a comment in the comments below. And don't forget to, where's the subscribe button? Oh, there it is. Don't forget to push the button and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.